if we come across someone, and it's usually about 1 in 1,000 people who get into difficulties with property, you put it down to these deadly sins. So if you've got a pen, because I don't believe in PowerPoints, I haven't got a PowerPoint. One is they don't diversify. And they say, I've bought at Shayla Park and nothing's happened in the last 3 years. You need to diversify. An example is Dr. Frederick there diversified all over Australia. So, you're going to get a hot spot there from time to time. And the big thing is when you want to retire, you never know which is going to be a hot spot. It could be 10, 15 years away from retirement. How would you know then what's the hot spot? So if you diversify, the chances are you're going to be in the middle of that hot spot. Property's going to go up a lot, and you're going to have a lot of equity there that you can live on for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. If you put them all in your own backyard, which like most investors do, and it's not the hot spot at that particular time, you've got to keep working. So diversification is important. We enjoyed the Millionaires Breakfast this morning, and Tree and Trung were there. Are they in the audience here at the moment? I promised I wouldn't embarrass you. There they are, down there. I think you guys went berserk, didn't you? You joined us in 2003 or something, yeah? And you got about 300 properties now, isn't it, right? And that's why you're always laughing so much. Now I know we're always happy and laughing. And you diversified. That was great. The other thing I think is persistence. The principle behind that is the wealthy take a long-term attitude. And I long was told when I was young that the phrase, and I never really understood what it meant, but it said the wealthy sit around the dinner table at night and they talk about how mum and dad gained their wealth and how they protected their wealth, they educated their kids. The poor people, which included my mum and dad, sat around the dinner table of a night and listened to the radio news. Or when black and white TV came in, they watched the news. Well, we're very highly educated here on the media, and we know we don't trust the media, do we? It's fake news. So what we were doing with our kids and what my parents were doing with their kids is they were pushing all this negative, wrong information into our brains. So I think the wealthy take a long-term attitude because they've learned it's not a short-term thing, property. If you want a short-term thing, go to the races. I think you need a positive attitude as well. I think if you are a naturally negative person, it's going to be very hard for you to get wealthy because you're always looking at the negative sides of these things. And I've got to thank my dad here for this because he never bought an investment property, he never bought a house, because all he could see was the negative side of it. You've got to pay rates, you've got to pay insurance, you've got to repair this place, I'm only going to be a tenant. So he was a tenant for the rest of his life. Kathy and I pay about $3,500 a week land tax. And we could have focused on the land tax and said, no, it's too much, we don't want to do it. But we focused on the other side, we had over 200 properties. So who would like to pay $3,500 a week land tax? Well, this is very educated over here. You're not too sure about your lot over there. Don, you had your hand up. Good. So you've got to weigh it up and be positive. And I think a lot of losers that I know of in life just haven't had a positive attitude. They've always seen the negative side of it. And in a relationship, that tends to be someone who's positive in this sense, tends to be someone who's a bit negative. And I think the big thing about the property club is it gives that person who's a bit negative the information they need to put that negative monster in their mind to sleep that says, I've got enough information, I'm happy to go ahead. Particularly I found teachers were an exciting mob when I first started the club because I come from a real estate background and as soon as a real estate agent saw a teacher walk in to the office, they'd moan and groan. Because they'd never buy, they'd ask all the questions in the world, all the questions you couldn't answer, and then they'd want to go home and think about it. And we're trained in real estate to close the deal in an hour. So these people were walking out and weren't coming back, so we hated teachers. And then I met Wendy Priestley. Wendy in the audience? No? Good, I can talk about her. Oh, she's behind there, is she? Yeah, she's out there somewhere. I was warned, there's this woman in the front row, she got her arms crossed, her legs crossed, and she'll ask all the questions in the world, which she did. But it was great because she put everyone else in that room to peace because she asked all the difficult questions. The other people weren't going to ask them. but they saw that she got the answers that satisfied her. And then it grew and grew and grew. And our single biggest group of occupation is teachers now. Do you believe that? Because they question everything, they've got to be conservative, they've got to get all the information first before they tick the box, and that's exactly what the club does. So our overarching company is called Property Education Club, and we fit that pretty well, don't we? You happy?
Yep.
You can't get this information anywhere else in the world, as Tree said this morning at that lovely lunch. And Tree, thank you for donating your time. Tree speaks all the way around the world as a paid public speaker with a fantastic message to sell, and it was fantastic to listen to you. Thank you. Give a round of applause. Even you weren't there, it was fantastic. If you're real nice and you weren't there, we will tell you what it was all about. And I was most excited because she came up with this training regime, and I'm going to follow it religiously. Chris Ford's tried to get me doing his, but my motto is, when there's pain, there's no gain. So this is the exercise regime I'm going to do from now on. Put your hands up. Come on, put your hands up. I'm giving you a bit of exercise. All right. Reach up as far as you can. All right. We're nearly halfway through now. Just hang in there. Do this. All right. Oh, you got it. That's enough. That's it. Good. Isn't that good? And you're supposed to laugh. So you all did that. Fantastic. I'm going to lose so much weight now, Tree, thanks to you. Wonderful. We could write a book together. You could write it and I can make the money. Thank you, Tree. So positive attitude is good. The other thing I think you've got to do is accumulate properties. Now, the Treasurer and I had an argument because he said anyone that's got more than 4 properties is greedy. He's a poor Treasurer, so he's going to make the country poor. But no, you need 8 properties, and we've had the formula there from the time we started in day one, when properties you were buying from us was $136,000. Could you imagine that? And people were saying, I only paid $80,000 for my home. Why would I pay $136,000 for an investment property? Then we said, you need 7 or 8. So you need $1 million worth of property. So had you bought 7 properties then at that sort of price, you're in easy street now, because it'd be worth about between $3 and $4 million. And all that capital growth would be yours. So once you've got $2.5 of net $1 million, that's when you're looking good. You can really retire, enjoy life, but equally you're putting money back into the country, because what are you going to do with that money? Come on, ladies, you can answer this one. Yay! And when you spend it, what happens? You create jobs. And so poor people need us to spend. Kathy, you're not supposed to listen to this one, by the way.
She did a very good job.
The trip in, I think she did a marvellous job going to India. Yes, we had to drag her kicking and screaming, but it was a fantastic trip. It was really good. Except Harper wouldn't let me eat. I love the street meat, and the vendor would be there with this beautiful Indian stuff that I didn't know what it was, and my son kept dragging me away from it. I'll have to go back to India to have some street meat. The other one I've got here is another unusual one. It's contribute dollars. Troy went through before, a great presentation I thought, and he went through, only a few dollars a day buys you the rest of your life, peace of mind for the rest of your life. That's a fantastic superannuation. It puts super into superannuation. But you think, if you're on $80,000, you're putting $7,000, $160 a week, into a failed superannuation scheme that only makes the finance industry wealthy. So you're fighting the banks and you're fighting super. And the way to win is to recognise who your enemies are and what they are, and find a way around that problem. So we've certainly found a way around beating tax. We're finding a way around beating the banks, and that is go to the non-majors, give them a bit of competition. And I'm going in to see Matthias Cormann, so I'm hoping we can start putting a bit of pressure on the government to actually do what we pay them to do, which is government, instead of farming and subcontracting out the running of the economy to a mandarin called buyers at APRA. Someone here asked a question this morning of Michael on APRA. I'd love someone to ask me a question on APRA. Yes. Oh, I'd love to be the chairman of APRA. I'd sack them all, and I'd move it back in as part of government. So when you elect members of parliament, they can be door-stopped any time by a journalist saying, why are you doing that? and the MP would have to answer. At the moment they say, oh, nothing to do with us. What are you doing with the interest rates? Nothing to do with us. Well, what do we elect you bastards? I put down contribute dollars because there's a lot of people that raise a line of credit, which we always said was a piggy bank. It was there as a peace of mind thing. And it went with those people who were had a partner that was a little bit negative and would say, what if? What if I lost my job? What if I didn't have a tenant? So we decided we'd call this a piggy bank. So we'd extend the borrowing to cover this piggy bank. Too many people have decided, I'm not going to put any money into this investment at all. I'm going to use my piggy bank. And I don't think that's good money management. We go back to what kids were taught around the table. I'm sure the wealthy family that were talking to the kids wouldn't have said, use borrowed money to live on. And they would have said, don't leave it there for a rainy day and only use it if you do need it for a rainy day. Understanding property cycles too, I think, is one of the most exciting things to understand. And here I'll go into a rant on Michael Matusik on the Gold Coast. So I think the question was asked somewhere down here. I know who it was. Sue, you asked the question. I'll go through why I'm really keen on the Gold Coast. One of the first ones is it's been flat for some time. It is 2012. Sydney's been flat since 2005. They've had many, many months of negative growth, not counteracted by the few months that they had with positive growth. So I think over that period there was a net gain of about 3% on the property price from 2005. Perth, however, and Brisbane were on a roll. They were sitting up around a 15% growth in that year. So the herd said, whoo, this is where I'm going to follow Perth and Brisbane. Now, hindsight, was that the right sort of thing to do? We had good properties in Sydney. We were trying to get you to buy Sydney, and you were saying, but it's gone nowhere. It's gone nowhere. Why would I get in there? I'll do a Matusik. Sydney's gone for another 12 months longer than it should because of that lack of supply. So if we change those around, got a razor or something? Oh, Michael didn't do that, did he? So we'll take that out of there. We'll leave that there. And what we'll put this as Gold Coast. Gold Coast. And that's 08. It just had a big boom. Everyone doubled their money between 99 and 03. And then we doubled it again up to 08. Was that sustainable? Was it? Wouldn't be, because it'd be up here somewhere. And as Troy said, it all revolves and follows Sydney, or did Michael say that? That's the Gold Coast. This is, Gold Coast really started to take off last year, so that was 15, 16, it started to take off. So now you can see why I'm so keen on the Gold Coast. It's had a sleepy period. It's a sleepy period that had Sue worried. It was a sleepy period that had Michael Matusik worried. So now we'll go to bananas. Which is the area in Australia that's got the biggest population growth?
Gold Coast.
Who said Gold Coast? Who said Gold Coast? Someone in here? It was a male voice, I heard it. I think you deserve a bottle of wine. Have we got someone that can take a bottle of wine here? If it was you, I would have heard it. I've been trying to give you an Aussie accent for a long time, son. The population growth on the Gold Coast is 3.5%. What is it nationally?
1.8.
Who said 1.8? Well, you're wrong. It's 1.6. So where is there a big demand for bananas? Who said Gold Coast? Oh, you're getting good. Did you get them a bottle of wine? I'll give them anything you like. Do you want sparkling still, red or white?
Red.
Red still? Red still? Done. This is the sort of exercise you should really do. So we've got a big demand, and that's one of the things you look at to push prices, isn't it? The demand. You haven't heard my banana story, have you? Right? When there's a cyclone goes through and there's not a lot of supply, but there's a lot of people want bananas, what happens to the price? It goes up. Right. So we have a big demand for bananas. What we've got to do now is look, what Michael didn't, is how many bananas are in the store. We had last year's conference. You know the answer to this, because answer for those who were not at last year's conference. Oh, you missed out on so much vital information, but you could have made a lot of money. What Tom Tate told us was that traditionally every year on the Gold Coast, 15,000 new properties are built every year. Then in 2008, the huge oversupply hit the market. See, I can draw rectangles too, isn't that good? Give me a round of applause because I drew a rectangle. And I'll put some lines in here too. They were townhouses, they were units, and that was land with a house on it, and that was multi-high rise. We don't want to go near them. Is that good? So what happened? They oversupplied the market. Since then, and he told us last year, there's been no more than 5,000 a year go into that market, and yet we've got this rising population. So there's been too little bananas going into the store, but we've got a rising demand. So if we've got that situation where there's too little bananas and a rising demand, what's the first indication that tells us that that's the situation? How do you know the time to get into a market? Who said that? Oh, you are good. That's because you're a mentor. So you should go and see your mentor. They've got all the answers. So what's happening on the Gold Coast now? We've got rising rents, and the vacancy rate is less than 1%? 1%. So as regard, 2.5 is regarded as a normal market to 3.5. That's less than 1%. So our rents are rising on the Gold Coast, and our values are rising. Now, where did the 20% come from? My land tax. When the bank sends a valuer out, they could send Mickey Mouse out because he just looks at what the average is and takes 10% off it, collects your money and gives it to the bank, and no one's worried about it. With land tax, they've got to send a professional valuer out because you can challenge that valuation any time, and they've got to give you the legitimate comparisons that they used. And at Southport, our valuations went up 20% in 2016. Outside there, they went up about 15% at near the airport. That's happening now. They're real figures from a real valuation using real comparisons on my properties. So the tenants are screaming out there's a shortage of supply. They're saying there's a shortage of bananas. We'll keep paying more to get a banana. And so the valuers. What hasn't happened, it hasn't got into the papers yet. They haven't woken up. But we had Koshy with us last year, and he blew the whistle on it. Do you remember Koshy? Yep. He said him and his mates are buying on the Gold Coast. I could have killed him. That was supposed to be our secret. Now, our valuers, our researchers, hopefully at the back of the room, are they? Are they? Tony, anyone else there?
The others watching it on the big screen.
Am I on the big screen?
No, you are indeed.
Am I taller? Oh, Tony, you are wonderful. Yes. So actually, next year, Tony, you find me some more of this on the Gold Coast. I need townhouses, I need units, and I need land that I can put houses on. And I'll make you the winner. Can we make him the winner next year if he does that? There you are, you've heard that applause, that's what you've got to do. Actually, I've been nagging him for the last 18 months to do that, and Tony, you can tell it, but how easy is it to get that stock?
It's pretty difficult to get them to agree to our special conditions because they know there's a demand for it.
And how hard is it to even find the stock to try and sell our special conditions?
Well, the ones that meet our criteria, we've got pretty strict criteria, so it actually takes us a fair bit to find something that we think is suitable for investors.
That's a long way around that saying is find it very hard to find bananas, isn't it? So, how am I going versus Matusik? The good thing about Matusik and I is he said we don't often agree, but when we do agree, we do the twin pick for you. So I think a healthy discussion like this is really good for you as an investor because you get to see his side, you get to see my side, and you get a chance to see all the researchers out there. And you get a world unique chance is to talk to your other fellow investors because they're very smart as well.
Kevin?
Yes?
The best Australian politicians are buying on
The best Australian politicians are buying on the Gold Coast. How do you find a best politician?
the best Australian
How do you find the best? Who's he? Who's she? God, it hasn't been invented yet, has it? I like a dictatorship, you know, just like Trump. Just get in and just do it. Okay, how am I going? How am I going for time? Suzanne? 20 minutes? Whew, this is good. Where are we going? Understanding cycles, that was where I went through this. I've got a chapter in my book calling up, what have I got it called? It's a very sexy thing. It's called Fear Equals Opportunity. So here, we've got Sue Todd full of fear because she's had a lot of properties on the Gold Coast. They've gone nowhere, so she's full of fear. Now, you've got to recognise that when you get educated in property, it's an opportunity, because there's a lot of people that are feeling the same way and they're bailing out. And that's when you should be buying, when they're bailing out and getting into that market. Because, you know, this flat thing isn't going to last forever. I can show you the property cycles, your mentor can show you the property cycles history of Australia right from after the Second World War. And the flat periods never last for long. Equally, the rises never go on forever. They level off. So one of the arts of making money is to understand cycles. And then don't get fear when you're in a flat period. Just realise, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to take part of the jump, because it's going to come, it's going to happen. And I think Peter Maven, Rosina's dad, sells it well, because when we started the club, we said, this is going to happen. It's Brisbane, you're buying properties for $136,000. Hey, that's cheap versus Sydney and Melbourne. And guess what? It's not going to last for long. Sorry, it's going to last for a long time, because we think at the most it'll go up, it'll probably be another 20,000. And so by 1998, there won't be enough supply in the market and the population will grow and it'll take off. And so everyone bought, not expecting any capital growth, but it was accumulation they were following, accumulation. And 98 arrived and Peter started to get a bit worried. If he didn't get some growth in 98, 99, he'd be killed. So his version's a bit more funny than mine. He says he went and got his passport updated just in case he had to leave the country. But as you know, it planned, it happened. 98, 99, it took off and we doubled in 4 years. Then it turned around because there was lack of bananas still, it doubled again. So last year I said the property price you had at the start of 2016, by the end of 2019 they'll double. And that sounds like a big call, but you can see we've done that in our history. We've done it before, we've done it in Perth, we've done it in Sydney, we've done it in Melbourne, we've done it on the Gold Coast, we've done it in Brisbane. And so if you follow that, it's easy to get that jump. But gee, don't I look good? Yeah. You're a good crowd. You're better than that mob out there. Thank you. If I've got 3 by 7, who can count? The last one is plan your retirement well in advance. Thank you. Plan your retirement well in advance. We get too many people that come to me and say, look, I've given my job away, I'm retired, this is my situation. And I say, have you been to your mentor and done a financial plan? We've got the FIDO sitting there. They know how to do it, they love doing it. And you've got to plan your retirement. You can't retire, throw your job in, and then go to the bank and say, look, I've got stacks of equity, lend me some to retire on. They won't do it, so you've got to plan it well ahead. So I want to ask hands up here, but it's hands up for those who have bought a property, they've owned it for more than 12 months, that haven't got a FIDO. So you've had it for 12 months, but you don't have a FIDO. You need to change your mentor. Who's your mentor? You don't know who it is. You do. You're not going to name him. Is he sitting near you? Is he bigger than me? He is. Oh, we won't ask the question. But you've got to go and get a FIDO. Isn't a FIDO fantastic? It is. It takes all... And you can use the FIDO before you buy a property, because you can put your suggested property into the FIDO to see how it's going to affect your retirement. Is it going to bring it further forward, or is it going to take it further out? If it's going to take it further out, don't buy that property, put another one in and try how that works. It's fantastic. The guy that invented that is just an absolute bloody genius. Oh, you don't know who did it? Well, you have to find out. I think I'm all out for questions because I thought they'd be too tough to answer, so I thought I'd talk all the way through. If you've got any questions, come and grab me anytime.